Welcome to TheoTrade. This is Don Kaufman. It's August 29th, 2025. We are minutes after the cash close here on this Friday afternoon, headed into the holiday Labor Day weekend. Markets are closed on Monday. S&Ps down some 44 handles. Yeah, closing out the week with a little bit of volatility. I love this. Look at this. Some volatility starting to hit the markets. Finally, it's like, welcome to September. Here comes the fall. Look, S&Ps are down. It's not even 1%, but I'm still getting excited about the project. But I'll tell you what, the NASDAQ did take a bit of a bigger hit, down about 1.3%. But we're still attempting to kind of rotate because you can see the hit inside of the Dow, negligible. The Dow actually tried to rally back up in the day. The Russell, negligible. It's just fairly minor. Advanced decline line, ironically, is actually positive. And it had been throughout the course of the week. Anyway, let's start to actually break down some of the trade throughout the course of the week because, that's what really matters. But more importantly, what matters is where we're headed to, of course, next week. Next week, as I was saying a moment ago, it's a shortened holiday trading week. I just love this because literally, okay, welcome to September. Here it comes. First thing, to put a little perspective on some of the price action you saw throughout the course of this week. Here's your perspective. Started the week slightly lower. We headed higher. We thought we were going to rally. And where do we end the week? Again, it's almost completely unchanged, or like I like to say, massively unchanged. But the key to the marketplace is a very critical level, and we're kind of flirting with it a little bit, literally today. So if I cruise out, here's the 180-day 4-hour, and I'm actually going to zoom into this. Okay, I've been using this particular kind of chart kind of incessantly lately. Right, I overzoomed. Okay, I'm all excited and I overzoomed over here, but what we're looking at is a range that's been from 62.50, okay, to right in the neighborhood of 64.50. And I even mentioned in the last weekend's update, I mentioned it again on Wednesday night, like this 64.50 is literally make or break. And the irony is, if you really want to kind of zoom in over here, we're right there. We're right on the cusp. And why that is so critically important is you kind of zoom in. All right, this marketplace has been in this just significant volatility box. The range is incredibly tight. The significance is how minimal the range has actually been. And that sounds so weird to people because when I say it, you're like, oh, look how significant the range is. They think that the range is big. But what I mean by that, the significance of what I've actually highlighted here is all the way from late June, okay, through all the way through August, and now obviously into September, we have been basically in a 200-point range. I mean, define it right here. Here is 62.50, 64.50. But coming back down into it, all of a sudden we're going to take right back off, and the S&Ps could actually drop 200 points like a rock. Now, again, we'll have to play wait and see. That's why I said that's the kind of the make or break number out there, continues to be, and we're dancing with it. We're flirting with this 64.50 number. We held above it today. You can actually see the low today, 64.55. That's why I say we're dancing with that. Meanwhile, does that mean the market's breaking down? No, not at all. Take a look at the S&Ps over here. He hit an all-time high yesterday. But the NASDAQ looks a little bit different, okay? And I'm actually going to cover this in quite some detail. I'm going to save that for just a moment from now. But the NASDAQ looks, again, in my opinion, well, dramatically different than does the S&P. Now, before I go in there, as we start to turn the corner into September, okay, September is, historically speaking, the most volatile month. Now, that's kind of seasonality a little bit. I'm not sure I totally get into that, but look, I guess the thinking is it's after Labor Day, you can't wear white, and here comes volatility. It used to be like the seasonality effect is a lot of traders, they did vacations in August, yada, yada, yada. They come back to work, and here we go. after Labor Day, the volatility comes raging back. I just don't know if I buy into that anymore because for the most part, you got a lot of computer systems that are trading. You can sit in the Hamptons with 6 monitors and get your work done or whatever people do. But I do find it interesting, okay, that the VVIX is kind of rising from the ashes over here. So right when we were saying, like, I mean, I was pretty shocked earlier this week that volatility wasn't higher, and here we go. So look out, the VVIX, it did make a move. 97, okay? 97 isn't like, oh, it's a big number. You're starting to get above 100, okay? I'm totally paying attention. 110 basically means get under your desk and start rocking back and forth and hope for better days. But once you start to actually breach 100, it's on at that point. Like volatility is going to be upon us. It doesn't mean like you're in the extreme throes of volatility, which we've seen lately. We have seen some 110 prints, on obviously the VVIX, more than a few obviously this year, but even recently, some bouts of volatility, things kind of calmed down. But here it is, the VVIX rising from the ashes. And for those of you that are a little newer, you don't necessarily know what the VVIX does. It's the volatility of VIX. And when the VVIX goes up, too many people pay attention to the VIX. Okay, the VIX is a dilapidated pile of whatever. Okay, it's a pile of volatility. Okay, but what the VVIX is measuring, it's measuring the options activity. Okay, in VIX options, and VIX options are used to mitigate risk. It doesn't mean like when the VVIX is going up, okay, it doesn't mean that we're going to tank. What it means is that professionals, okay, are hedging just in case we do tank. And there's hedging activity is back. And the other thing I'm trying to elaborate upon this without even highlighting it, but now I'm going to highlight it. The size of the trade in VIX today was nothing less than magnificent. And not that much happened today. I'm making a lot of the volatility over here, but the honest truth is, what did the S&Ps actually do today? We dropped out of the gate. Like I was actually live this first hour. We dropped, okay, for 30 minutes, and then we just flattened out, nothing. Okay, it was just totally dead after that. I will say though, the volume started rocking out there, like things were getting a little crazy. Then it just all died out. At the end of the day, what do you have? Not even 1.3 million contracts traded in the S&Ps. But meanwhile, while that was going on, this drop over here, there was definitely a bid back to volatility. Volatility picked up, and throughout the course of the day, okay, volatility hedges. This is the interesting part of this. Volatility hedges were not just placed in that first 30 minutes of trade. Volatility hedges were being placed all throughout the course of the day. That is why I'm covering it. Because I don't think the average person is probably looking in there and going like, oh, who the hell cares? Okay. Because we weren't just hedging because we were selling off. We were hedging after we were selling off. Now I'm paying attention. And that's why I say the VVIX rises from the ashes. Now, NASDAQ, let's cruise back to NASDAQ. You're like, well, why didn't you cover that when you were covering the S&Ps? Because I wanted to elaborate on that volatility, okay, before I actually jump into NASDAQ. So NASDAQ's interesting. For this, I'm going to go to the QQQ, and I'm going to bring up auto expected moves. And why I'm using expected moves, okay, I'm going to show you last week, the market cracked lower last week, rebounded, okay? We finished a little bit lower on the QQQ last week, okay? This week, mildly lower, but the Qs, okay, have effectively stalled out, okay? We've stalled out. We're pretty good departure away, in terms of time from like the all-time high. We're not too far off the all-time high, but this is I think the disconcerting area. You're like, yeah, it didn't matter, man. The market hit an all-time high. Please, the market's hitting an all-time high based on financials, okay? The Qs haven't really sold off, but the players in the room start to sell off. Today, a 3% move inside of NVIDIA, that one actually counts, okay? It didn't really react to earnings so much, but definitely, take what the defense gives you here. Counted today, it was over 3%. Tesla took a little bit of a hit, okay? Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Broadcom took a little bit of a hit. That one, all right, that's a pretty big candle, all right? What else you got? It's not like, oh, you're gonna Meta. Meta didn't do anything, but Meta's actually been breaking a little bit. Like they're not hitting, okay, their stride. They're not hitting, if you will, new highs. And you're seeing the exact same out of Microsoft. Now I'm going to give you, okay, Google did hit an all-time high today. In fact, it's a trade I'm going to talk about. I was up 41% and I bailed. I got nervous in Google. I don't mind saying that. I mean, I'll talk about it a little bit more here in just a moment, but I bailed out of that one. So tech, okay, is no longer, all right, on the forefront of the move in the S&Ps. That's the concern. The Nasdaq has stalled out, and your savior right now is the financials. And I've said this before, but like I say, it saved me. It's like your savior in the marketplace. If your savior is Jamie Dimon sitting in a lifeboat, I'd rather drown. I mean, I just, the point I'm trying to make with that, by the way, it's like one of my favorite analogies over there. I see Jamie Dimon in a lifeboat, I'm swimming away. Um, the truth is, I don't think that the financials are doing anything right now other than just rotations of capital. Okay, we haven't hit high degrees of correlation. We will if the sell side continues. Meaning, yeah, we're starting to sell tech a little bit, but almost every penny from that's coming out of tech is being rotated. Okay, rotate, pivot. Okay, there's some rotations going on, and that rotation inside of the financials, like I'm not sure this is a healthy one. I mean, look, from this recent low, okay, to right where we are over here, it's good for 6%. I say it's not, I'm not sure it's a healthy thing. Okay, the financials are not exactly doing spellbinding things. We're talking about interest rate cuts too, which is not necessarily good for the financials. And yet here we are. We've exploded back up. I mean, you should see some of the financials themselves over here, including like JP Morgan on a year-to-date basis. Okay, they're faring better than the tech stocks. So wake up. Okay, I mean, Goldman Sachs, oh, that's good for 30% on the year. Wells Fargo, okay, up 17%. Nobody's wanted to touch that pile of crap. Look at this, Morgan Stanley up 20%. Citi's almost up 40% on a year-to-date basis. This is falling off everybody's radar screen because people are living in, NVIDIA land. NVIDIA, right, which was up, okay, over 30%, it's coming off a little bit. Tech, right now, okay, is underperforming most of your financials, individual, like financial and banks, which is wild to think. And as I said to you, I don't think that this is a safe lifeboat. I think what we're seeing right now is the rotations. All right, to further that, crypto. I don't often come in here in a weekend update, right, and mention like, crypto or Bitcoin. Yeah, this weekend I absolutely have to. It's breaking. Okay. This is a precipitous break. Now, I know for some of you that are serious crypto geeks, you're like, stop pulling up the futures, man. Look, well, okay, here's actual Bitcoin. All right. I went over to Tasty. You want to get serious? Let's do this. We've actually broken here. And by the way, I can't stand the charts here on Tasty, so forgive me. I'm coming back. I don't care. I can't stand the charts over on Tasty. Okay, I trade heavily on Tasty, but I'm a little more comfortable here on Thinkorswim with the charts. Anyway, this is a fairly precipitous break. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to rock everything that's got really what we term high beta stocks. So obviously anything related to crypto is going to take a hit. Then you start talking about, stuff like nuclear stocks, energy stocks, okay? Some of the bigger AI stuff is going to start taking hits, okay? Why? Why is there a correlation? Because the same people that trade crypto, that trade Bitcoin, okay, trading those products. You got to remember, all of these products now, are traded seamlessly on one front-end piece of technology. That's what Tasty does. I can trade Bitcoin, and 2 seconds later, I can turn around and trade the S&Ps. Okay, that into itself is actually going to cause correlations. For what it's worth, on this chart, pay attention. Okay, I think we're easily coming down to 100,000 quickly. Okay, you've already like literally in the last couple of trading sessions, you crested out here at literally 124. You're already back to 108. Okay, these are fairly substantial moves on a percentage basis. Should you be alarmed? Okay, I'm not even going from the absolute high here. I'm just showing you, okay, where we're at. We're already down right now, some 12%. So I just wanted to throw that out because, it's just it's a little correction. Yeah, you're already through the corrective territory. Now you're getting it's getting serious out there in a hurry. You're going to come down rapidly to 100,000, possibly test through it. You break through 100,000, all hell is going to break loose, and it's going to bleed over into the S&Ps very, very rapidly. You're going to see stuff like NVIDIA start to take hits, okay? You better pay careful attention to it because it just so happened that crypto is cracking is coinciding with things like VVIX coming back to life, with huge rotations into the financials, okay? Then all of a sudden you got the bond market, which is kind of still lurking in the background. It hasn't done very much. We're going to keep very close eyes on this. I didn't even make a note for this, but I'm concerned the bond market's going to start to sell off, that interest rates are going to go higher, not lower, okay? Yeah, I don't care if the Fed actually cuts. I really don't give a crap. They're cutting Fed fund futures, which is overnight garbage. I'm talking about the long end of the curve. I'm talking about 30 years, I'm talking about the 10-year, okay? The 10-year right now, the 10-year has actually done well. It's actually rallied back up. I'm telling you, I put on short positions in here because I don't trust this. I don't trust it as far as you can throw it. I think that this 10-year could actually soar back to 4.5%. Think about it. Trades I had on this week. As I was talking about a little bit earlier, okay, Google. So I had a bullish trade on Google. I bailed for 41% return and just got nervous on this one. Like Google did what it was supposed to. It cracked into all-time highs. And the reason I got nervous on it is some of the trade activity wasn't exactly all that fierce to the upside. It squeezed and then it actually started failing. I bailed out of this earlier in the day. I would have expected this to squeeze a little bit harder. It didn't. Okay, I got punchy. I bailed out of the trade. Next on the docket over here, GLD. GLD. I closed. I'll just bring up gold. Gold is actually cracking into all-time territory over here. There's no surprise. By the way, gold is one of the reasons. Okay, gold going higher is one of the reasons I still think interest rates are going to go higher. Okay, gold is just maybe a little bit ahead of the curve in there. So as gold starts to rally up, okay. Why would I think interest rates are going to go higher? There's a lot of pressures out there, okay, that are they're not gone. People are even going to have inflationary, worries coming back up. I don't care if they're cutting interest rates. As I said, I still think rates are actually going to go higher. The debt's out of control. That's why one of the reasons gold is actually still propagating gains in here. Last one I hit a Dell earnings fly, what we call a flip. Flips were rougher this week because it was just not a huge selection. Okay, flips were a little rougher this week, but net, we did all right. We did all right in Dell, 168%. Now, last thing I like to cover on every one of these weekend updates is right here in the SPX, the mother of all products. So net, okay, the week, a little disappointing. We finished massively unchanged. So next week, there's 4 trading days. And with those 4 trading days, obviously, again, the marketplace is closed on Monday. Don't look for me on Monday because the markets are closed. Into Friday, we're actually going to have over an $86 move, about an $86 expected move coming into next Friday, it's interesting because we just came off of a week that had about an $82 expected move. Now we're going into a holiday shortened week that's going to have a larger expected move. So ladies and gentlemen, as we turn the corner into September, here comes the vol. I can't wait for it. Two-sided trade is what we are about. Thanks everybody for joining us here at TheoTrade. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Bye-bye.